Hello, it's Tamara Hunter, and we are on the second hour of our Service Heroes Telethon benefiting Chemo Buddies for Life. Now, let me tell you this. We are still in the process of getting a few kinks worked out. But I want to say, thank you to all of our volunteers that came in and built this beautiful set that we're working on right now. And at some point in time, I will probably turn things around and maybe even go to some other cameras, and so that you can see some of the green screen and the media wall and everything we have going on. However, what I would like to do is be able to welcome back our co-host and our resident queen, or your Miss Cosmic.
Hello,
yes,
guys.
Yes. So I am going to be typing some stuff in here while we're talking. And so you guys, bear with us. This is live TV.
I hope you guys are up with us. We're being troopers. I don't drink coffee, so this has to be all natural energy.
Yes, and I can tell you that I have been up, I don't know how many days in a row now, and I totally am feeling the natural energy and loving it. Okay, we have this right now. If anybody, which we're going to start really going for this. We are going to start talking about this a little bit more now. We are going to set our intentions. So, let's start being realistic.
Okay.
And it's in the middle of the night, and we are starting our telethon.
Yes.
Our first one. And what do you think?
It's exciting. It's exciting. And we had some hiccups. As everybody does during their first events, their first telethons, everything. But the way it's turned out and everything that's come together really, really is amazing to me. It really is beautiful. And just to have even the scenery behind us was a blessing. It really was. And then to look at the roster and see all of the phenomenal people that will be joining us in this 24 hours, that is impressive to me. These people, and I'm not saying there's so many people out there, so many amazing people in this world, but to take your time out, at 1, 2, 3 o'clock in the morning and to come live with us, that's huge. It's huge. And so it means a lot to us, and to share your stories, and just to be there with us and for us, and to know and understand what the buddy system is about. And that is something that is absolutely incredible. So
absolutely. In fact, what I am going to start offering is, if I actually see that one of our buddies may be watching, and I am going to let her know. She is our senior ambassador, Sharon, that right now we have a bit of an issue with our 1-800 number, Sharon, but I am going to get off camera, and I'm going to go work on it. And then, Sharon, I am going to possibly test it out and see if it will then roll over to you. So if you want to let us know through comments that you are good with that, that would be great. Or just get a hold of me on my phone here, and and we're gonna troubleshoot this, and so that when we get into the next few hours, that we don't have a problem anymore. But I really loved it, Kelly, when you were talking to me about the pay it forward idea that you
absolutely
had. If you want to talk about that, I'm going to go over here and start troubleshooting a little bit. So I'll let you kind of take it over.
Here's what I was thinking. I go at times through Starbucks, and I'm not really a coffee drinker, but I'll get non-caffeine anything, and I like the taste, but I can't drink it, and I would love to, but I just can't. So what I was thinking is, do a pay it forward where we go in a Starbucks line, we go through the line and we buy a coffee or something for someone. And so my thought was, we buy a tall, a macchiato or grande or whatever, $6, $7. I think it would be absolutely incredible if we could take what we spend, on coffee or whatever for the day and match that, and just kind of, this whole event is about giving, loving, sharing, and just having a buddy and loving your buddy, loving the people you're around, and building community, building it back, and building America and the world back to that foundation of peace and love and harmony and all those wonderful things. So my thoughts were, if I was going through a coffee line today and I spent $6, I'm going to donate that $6 to Chemo Buddies for Life. So I believe that we can match that. And so that's kind of what I think our thought process can be today, is when you're going out this morning and you're up and you're running to the store to get whatever, let's match that. Let's match that for Chemo Buddies, and let's help build this. It's such an amazing, incredible event. Tamara is doing so many wonderful things, and to be able to just help that little bit, I don't care if it's $1, $5, whatever is in your heart to give and help and donate to the Chemo Buddies, and to be able to get this thing going, and to just have that big foundation that we need, that solid foundation, and to keep it going. I'm not gonna, nothing is free in life. Nothing is free but love, time, and those wonderful things that we can give. But when you talk in the aspects of web design and all those amazing things, everything costs something. It costs time, and it costs, time is money. You hear that all the time. So if we could do that, if we can match a few dollars here, if you go get a coffee and it's $6.72, donate $6.72. I think that would be a really incredible start for us here today. I will be on until 4 o'clock. So I know they're kind of wee hours of the morning for us, and I don't know what time it is in other places around the world. I can't even imagine. But I know where I live in Texas, it is, 2 hours ahead. So that being said, you guys, we're trying to do something amazing, and I know you guys are being here with us and just being amazing troopers, and I really appreciate and love that about you. And I am so thankful that we have wonderful friends and a wonderful foundation, and just the love to share and to give. So I know Tamara's trying to fix some technical things.
I will come back over for a little bit.
Sure.
And then keep going. I wanted to say thank you for what you were sharing, because, I really, in listening to it, I thought, that really makes a lot of sense. It really does. And the one thing about the PayPal Me, that if you go through the PayPal Me, you will probably have to round up the amount. However, if you decide to go over, and I'm going to right now I'm going to create another here. What they call a title, and that is going to be for our website. We do have a website, and I want to say that we have someone that has generously said that they're going to work with us to make that website better. That, I'm really excited about it, because we need this website to work.
Absolutely.
And he's like, ClickFunnels will be able to help with it, and so it's not through ClickFunnels. It's from Alex Gillian. And Alex has said, in honor of his mother, who has survived, but she went through cancer, he wanted to help with that. And so, that is amazing. And so when you're looking to think, okay, Chemo Buddies for life, what do I want to do about this? Money is wonderful and it will be very helpful, but there's other things also that we can really use because of the fact that we are bound and determined to see that no one faces cancer alone, and that this is international. So think about that. We have people throughout the world. We have then traveled to try to get to them because this is a message we need to get out there. There's a program that we wanted, and it was actually a program you came up with, and that is Feel the Bus. And why don't you talk about that? I'm going to get back over here, and it's through the Service Heroes program. Service Heroes, for those of you that don't know, there is a show, and I'll explain this, and then I'm gonna pass it back to Kelly. There is a show that I do, and it's called 365 Days of Awesome. Celebrate Success Through Service. And every day I highlight either a service hero or a service concept, something that just really somehow is helping others. And why someone that is trying to build something so huge is doing that? Well, it's because of the buddies.
Right.
The buddies were starting to see things a little like bad news. There's too much bad news out there, guys. And if you're not seeing it, then, and I stay away from the TV and I still hear it, right? So there's just too much of it. So we decided, a couple of people, I was actually, Tasha Cooney actually said, Tamara, I think you should be doing this program. And she challenged me, and I took the challenge. And then Allison Larson, who's going to be coming on later this morning, not too many hours, but she will be here soon. She actually helped me work out the Service Heroes concept. And what it was all about is that, there are so many good people out there. Yes. There's so much good going on. That's right. And it doesn't get recognized very often. That's true. But there's a reason for it. Right. Back in the day, our relatives, and I understand this, they didn't want people to get a big head about doing something good. Right. And so it was like random act of kindness, and just be quiet about it. And that's how you get kind of like my grandmother used to always say, you write it, if someone gives you a thank you note, or if you write a thank you note, the idea is tear that thank you note, and so that no one else reads it. And so that's a gift between the two of you. And that this way they can get their reward in whatever they believe that they're, that they would be going to, and where they would receive a reward because of the fact that it wasn't boastfully done. Well, that worked back in my grandmother's day because there wasn't all this streaming media. There wasn't the opportunity for a lot of people to be out there and sharing a lot of bad. And so, Grandma, love you. Someday we'll see you again, I believe. However, we're out here, we're from the rooftops, from the streaming media, and all over. We are sharing the good news of the Service Heroes and things that are going well. So you came up with an amazing idea, because I don't know that many of you understand, and I think this is important to understand, is that a lot of people that are going through cancer are lumped into the cancer numbers for whatever may be happening. They may be actually homeless. They may be hungry and unable to buy food. They may be just diagnosed, and not only did they get the paperwork with the pathology report, they may have also received paperwork saying you've been served and I no longer want to be married to you anymore. And guess what? Your insurance is going to be gone. What do?
It's hard.
There might be numbers like the person I shared in the last hour that was at the graduation with my original chemo buddy and I that gave up, and she died. She gave up. She should have been in those depression type numbers. She should have been in those almost like suicide numbers. But because you're in active chemo, or you're in active treatment, or you're in somewhere in that window, it is attributed to cancer numbers. That is wrong, because there's too many people that we're hearing from at Chemo Buddies for Life that are at risk of being homeless, or they are currently living in the car that they're at risk losing. Right. They have lost their insurance because of that second set of papers. Right. And they're choosing not to go to treatment because they don't have insurance. They can't afford it. They'd have to start all over to go for state kind of aid in whatever state they're in. And if they do that, because of the situation, they're not going to be able to feed their children, because a lot of times there's children involved. Exactly. And so then it's a matter of a choice of, do I feed my child and keep a roof over their head? But what about the fact that they're not receiving any kind of treatment, any kind, whatever? They're not living. And so these kids, because that other parent left, they're becoming wards of the court. And I have been talking to the social workers in some of these clinics, and I have been reaching out to people throughout the United States, because I've been going a lot this last year and getting to know people, and it is at a point where we need to do something about it. And so Kelly and I were talking, and you came up with this amazing idea because of the Service Heroes, and of which you are one, that we can help Chemo Buddies for Life, the people affected. So I'm going to let you talk about that while I go work on this some more.
So I had a bit of a challenging upbringing and young adulthood. It was difficult, you guys. It was very difficult. I went through a lot of things that, I'd say made me stronger, but sometimes I question why. And I've been in those situations, almost every situation she just named. I had been in almost every situation, and it was hard, because you do want to give up. When you don't have that support and you don't know which way to turn, you've got, I'll start with car insurance. Well, you've got car insurance. You have to have car insurance to put on your vehicle, and it just keeps going. You've got to have a registration and this and that, and everything, cost. And so I've been in those situations, and it's one of those things where you've got to choose. What do? Do you eat today? Do you keep the lights on? And so those are really hard and really trying times that I had gone through myself. Even being a military spouse, I can remember not having the food we needed. This is military, you guys. I mean, they take care of their people. But, when you're too, I can't say I was ashamed, but I think we were too, maybe proud to ask for help. And we didn't have these chemo buddies. I hadn't heard of it before, anything like that. Then you start really having to dig deep. I can remember sitting in a living room, a small living room, and it was really cold in Virginia. We had to put blankets up around, the living room to kind of stay warm and huddled together. And this is reality. This is reality for a lot of people every day. And, I'm thankful that I am here today, and I'm thankful that I have come so far in life. And that was from that time. I've always said, I will always help someone in need. And now that was the thing, and I think that's what's kept me going, because I have been taken care of thus far. I have. There were times where I wanted to give up and throw in the towel, but you just have to keep going. You keep going. You find that support. You find that buddy. And so I came up with this idea called Stuff the Bus. So Stuff the Bus is us, getting an RV, hopefully getting a sponsor or a donation so we can get an RV. And we are going to travel, whether we go to Florida or wherever we're going. We want to help people. We're going to literally stuff the bus with every toiletry, every whatever we can for people. We are going to stop wherever, and whatever they need, we are going to, if we have it with us and we can give it to them, we're going to give it to them. I remember whenever I started getting means, and we started having a little more, and things were looking up a little better, I would take my daughter's toys or clothes or whatever, and I would drive to, I would say the worst parts of the areas and things like that. I would get out and I would take, just piles of clothes and things like that to people, and I would say, hey, do you all need some clothes? So that got me thinking about Stuff the Bus. This is something that we can do through donations, giving, whether it's shampoo, toiletry items, anything that we can help. Chemo Buddies, we can help homeless, we can help so many, just a variety of people in need. And so if you guys would be willing to help or donate in that area, I would love to get that bus stuffed. And then when we get to our halfway point, we'll stuff it again. We'll get more donations. I know that is one thing I think that I was crowned Miss Cosmic for. It is a charity, a nonprofit. They have organizations that they work with all around the U.S., all around the world. It is absolutely incredible. So I am really honored. I was really honored to be crowned Miss Cosmic, and I want to do something great with that title. I want to do something for other people. So I'm going to somehow connect Stuff the Bus, Chemo Buddies with Beauties of the Universe, and we're going to figure this out. But it's not always easy. And when you're going through trying times, I have friends going through things, I've got family going through things, and sometimes you just don't want to ask. Sometimes it hurts you to ask, but I was one of those people. But I would tell you now, if I needed help and I just needed a hand, and I needed someone just to say I love you and keep going, I'm going to reach out. So I am so appreciative of Chemo Buddies for Life. The Service Heroes are absolutely phenomenal. So that kind of all ties back into Chemo Buddies. We have these Service Heroes, and I Tamara, she was kind enough, and she made me a Service Hero. It was all of the going into different countries that I do, and giving and loving and just just being a light where there was darkness. And that is something I absolutely love doing. And that is sort of my whole mission in life, is to be a light for other people and to love other people. I've got friends right now going through things that I remember going through years ago. And if I can help in absolutely any way, I will do everything I can to help. But don't be afraid to ask. Don't be afraid to, call on someone. Just do it. That's all I know, is just take care of each other and love each other. Stuff the Bus is definitely a start. We're going to hopefully begin that journey next summer, and we'll probably take 2 or 3 weeks. We'll go down, and Tamara and I and a couple other people, maybe as Service Heroes or Chemo Buddies, whoever wants to join us, we can absolutely get on that bus and that RV, and we can stuff it to the rim. I don't care how uncomfortable we are. We'll be just fine. But being able to help other people, that's what it's all about. The loving and giving, sharing, and building the networks and relationships with one another.
And actually I love that. And I was speaking with someone in the fire service, and a suggestion was made, and I would love to really throw this out there, and that is, if we had a bus, some kind of an RV or some type of a bus that needed to have a special license that like an engineer would use. We know some retired engineers that possibly would drive that bus. And then wouldn't it be cool if we had some kind of a pass the keys, like pass baton, but pass the keys to an honorary engineer, each of the departments, each of the cities that you go into, and make it a very, very big honor. And similar to how they do the boot campaigns, right. and the fire service is very big on supporting in October the breast cancer awareness campaigns. Mm-hmm. Why wouldn't it make a lot of sense for these engineers and these fire service departments to get involved? And I'd love to throw it out there. Let's make this happen. Let's make this be, because it's Service Heroes, and many of our fire service and our police services, we could do, let them do the highway patrol, or our patrols officers have the motorcycle, what is it that they're leading us? Yeah, they're leading us into town, and do the mayor proclamations, and why not? Because again, this is all good news, and it is bringing awareness to, and I love the fact that you're talking about all the different charities and everything. But I have to say, I am the executive director and co-founder of Chemo Buddies for Life. Mm-hmm. And I really, really want to bring awareness, and that's part of the campaign, is bring awareness to the fact that so many people do not understand that people that are going through cancer have issues such as homelessness. Right? They're hungry. They don't know how they're going to go through it because they can't pay for it. They have exhausted everything. They've lost everything because they lived through their first round. Now they've been re-diagnosed. This is not uncommon.
No, and here's the one thing that I think it's important for people to know and understand. And because I know you have gone through those things. Mm-hmm. Mentally, physically, emotionally, and I don't know if you want to go here, but I think it's so important for people to know how you felt. Felt, because that is something that I didn't understand. What are the feelings you go through going through something like that. So that way people can kind of understand a little bit.
Right.
Because if you're not going through something, you don't know.
Right. I think that that's a very good question. And in fact, we have a little bit of time, and then I'm going to get back to working on what I need to work on. But I really want to give a real solid answer to that. And in the last hour, I shared the fact that I think it was the last hour that it was that I have heard those words, "you have cancer," as a granddaughter, as a daughter, as a mother, as a sister, and for myself. And I will say that I have 5 different answers for your question because of it. In truth, the hardest one to hear was for my daughter. When you hear, she was 19, but still, and so she's considered adult, but she had been sick for most of her life. And every year for her to move on in school, we had to have a doctor's note because she had lost too many school days because she had been too ill. When she was 4 years old, I was told that most likely she had leukemia. She didn't, thank goodness. Then when she was 5 years old, I was told most likely she had Crohn's disease. She didn't. But when she was 19 years old, she had an emergency appendicitis. And the pathology report came back that she had a tumor that was inside and outside of that appendix that was a rare cancer. So she had to go through 2 nuclear scans to see if she had even one cancer cell left in her. She is a survivor now of 9 years, and she's still at risk. Whenever you've had cancer, you always have a potential that you will reoccur. So she has to stay on top of it. So when I heard those words about my daughter, the emotions that I had were rough. It was rough. It was tough. You never want to hear those words. You just don't. And I had already heard those words. The very first time I ever heard them they were from my grandfather, and my grandfather was more like my dad. He was my hero in life. And I was pregnant with my first child when we found out he was dying of cancer, and they didn't let me go to the hospital to say goodbye to him because they were afraid I would miscarry because I was too close to him. And so that one was a rough one. And so when the next one was my brother, and we're 18 months apart, very, very close, but it was like, okay, he's my brother. But it was the bad skin cancer. It was melanoma. And so, we're close in age. And so what they do, he had to have a couple surgeries. He's always been on cancer watch since. And what they do, I have so many pot marks on my back because they thought, okay, well, there was only 2 of us. And by then, my grandfather had cancer, and then my brother. So then next was my daughter. And so we had already been through it with my grandfather and my brother. And what happened was my brother was a hero to me too. And if I can share anything here, it's that one of the greatest gifts you can give someone that's going through this, especially if it's themselves and that they're having a hard time, or if it's that their child and it's someone that you love. And my brother's an attorney, so he's very, very detailed minded. And he told me, Tamara, don't get on the internet. Don't do it. Because my daughter had a rare cancer, and he goes, don't do it. I don't want you to do it. I will research it for you. I will research it, and I will get you the information. I don't want you going out there and getting lost in this information and going down a rabbit hole. And
it can be scary.
It can be very scary. And if you allow yourself to go into that bad news area again, Service Heroes, guys, why do you think I got it? I've been through this drill a few times now, right?
Yeah.
So with my daughter, that was extremely hard. So, okay, my brother, yes, love him dearly, but, I knew he was going to make it. He's young, and he's very smart, and I just knew it. My daughter, she had been sickly most of her life, and she was a miracle baby, so, I really was concerned that she's alive. She's a fighter. Wow. The next one was me, and you know what? That was the easiest one. I will be honest. By then, I had been through so many times, and I'd been through so much. I've been through other things in my life. Cancer's not the only, we all live life, right? I've been through other things. So when I actually was diagnosed with cancer, you guys are going to laugh. Ready? I am the poster child of everything not to do when it comes to breast cancer. Everything. I tested too late, and thank goodness I finally tested when I did, because if I hadn't, I probably wouldn't be alive. So get tested, number one.
That's so important.
Yeah, stay on top of it, because I didn't. And so since I didn't, and I'm a big girl, and I thought, okay, well, I'm going to pay the piper for that one. Most likely, who knows what stage I'll be in. And at the time when my first results were coming in, it was looking like it could have had lymph node involvement and pretty gnarly. And so I was sitting there with some friends and family, and they were starting to plan my possible funeral. And I live near a lake, and they were like, well, what do you think of a Viking send-off?
Wow.
We'll put you, we'll have a barbecue. And we live in Southern California. Okay, so we'll have a barbecue, and then we'll put you out there, and we'll have and we won't get in trouble because we have firefighters in the family, right? Yeah. And so we'll do it right. We'll have the bonfire, and then we'll put some wood on you and put you on, and then we'll get arrows and we'll set them off. Oh my gosh. And I can't. So, and then it even gets better, guys. It gets better. And they're like, we can use the bonfire then for a weenie roast. And my grandson, the youngest one, loved Mickey Mouse Club. And I'm like, oh yeah, there you go. And then my grandson can sing hot dog, hot diggity dog. And then the other ones were like, problem solved. Yes, sometimes you just gotta laugh.
Sense of humor.
You gotta laugh about stuff. You gotta laugh.
This is the sense of humor that Tamara has, and this is exactly why I love working and just helping.
Oh, girl. Wow. So with me, every time I think about mine, and I try to be so good about it, but all I hear in my mind is hot dog, hot diggity dog. And I see the arrows.
So let me bring that back too.
But there's one more.
Okay.
Because this one's really important.
Okay. All right.
Okay, so the last one is the why behind the why.
Okay.
Of Chemo Buddies for Life. Now, this is one that I have a big, I'm ready. Okay, does this give you a clue? Okay, the why behind the why. It was my mom. And when I was going through active chemotherapy, my mom had pneumonia. So part of the whole reason for Chemo Buddies for Life is that I was put in isolation. A lot of people know the story. Laughter is the best medicine. Let me bring that up. Yeah, isn't that the truth?
It is so true.
It is so true, Rose. It is so true. So, okay, and I'm glad you were here for that. I'm sure you were laughing too.
Me singing hot dog, hot dog.
I know I was going to sleep without having okay, back to the whole hot dog. I had the idea of the walk-in movie, and you see the, snack bar, hot dog, and then the popcorn, everything in the soda one. They're like, wait a minute, where's our song, So anyway, but back to it, the why behind the why of Chemo Buddies. My mother had, the story to understand my mom and I had kind of lived under the same roof as adults for the majority of my adult years because of a car accident that she had been in 34 years before she died. The long and short of it is that she had 6 of her vertebrae were shattered in that. And so she had 27 major surgeries where I used to say she was soldered from the top of her top to bottom. Her whole back had been fused, and she had cages and Harrington rods that had popped out and broken. And Harrington rods, anybody that had them understands the whole thing. And I'm sorry, but we're gonna go here, and then yes, add the whole visual. Yes, absolutely. Now the next whole visual. So I'm going to put this up, and I'm going to tell the story, guys. So the story behind the story. So my mom had through the fact that she was supposed to have died because she was dying of a kidney disease, renal tubular acidosis, and she was in a car accident. And because of the spine being manipulated and the vertebrae being shattered, the kidney disease went away. And she's in journals because of it. The whole thing, and there's a lot of conversation in regards to that, I understand. So you go on with the story. My mom had a second chance for life, literal second chance. And she had some choices to make in her life. To change her life. She did, and she went through a new path. And that new path ended up affecting a lot of people's lives in a very positive way. She was a very brilliant woman, a businesswoman, and she ended up having to take medical retirement, but she was nearly at a VP level. She was at a regional. She had all the Western states, including Hawaii, for FedEx.
Wow.
HR. And so big responsibility. And she had come through Roadway Express, the trucking company. Then she opened up Roadway Packaging Services, all the Western states, which then merged or became and was bought out, however it would happen, with FedEx. So that's how that all happened. And she was the one kept, which is a big deal.
Yeah,
and
absolutely.
So that was after she had that accident. So, and she had all those surgeries during that time. So this woman, to understand this woman, she would have the surgery, she would be in a body cast, and she'd be, okay, I'm on my way out, because 70% of her job was flying away to one of the other locations, right? And she did it, no matter what kind of pain. She was in incredible pain every day of her life. So she ended up having to take an early retirement, and because of all of this, that's why we were on and off living together. She needed help, I needed help, we helped, we're a family, we would help each other. She got pneumonia when I was going through active chemotherapy. My mother had pneumonia, there's a lot of stories here. I'm not going to go into it, but my mother had pneumonia across the hall. My dad had pneumonia, and he was living with his common-law wife in that room, which she had dementia. So, I mean, that was an interesting little deal. And then my grandmother had, yeah, there's a lot of stories there, guys.
Hot dog stuff.
Yeah, yeah, got plenty of stories to tell. All right, so she refused to go to the hospital. And she was finally told, she was a little bitty thing. At the time, she was barely 5 foot, just a little over 100 pounds. She was told, you're going to get picked up and you're going to get taken. So you can either decide to go or you can decide to have us take you. She went. She ended up not coming home until she died 10 days after she came home, because she coded in the hospital. She had to have a surgery. They broke her bone, or broke her ribs. So she had been fused all the way up her back, right? And in tremendous pain anyway. They broke her ribs. And then what happened was that she had to have a surgery because of one of the other surgeries. It was a gut surgery. And they did a catheter. And what happens sometimes? Superbugs. She ended up with 3 superbugs, one of them MRSA, a couple of others. And in the urinary tract, in an older person, that messes with your mind.
Right.
She couldn't come home because she had superbugs, and I was going through active chemotherapy. And she couldn't move to get to a phone, and she couldn't even think of how to call or who to call. She had a cell phone, but it got lost. So we couldn't talk to her. She became one of those screamers.
Wow.
In those facilities. Help me! She would have been mortified by that. We didn't know that the reason she coded and the reason she had pneumonia was she had bone marrow cancer. Which is one of the most painful cancers of the cancers. She made it for almost 11 months, but she wasn't at home, and they didn't take care of her well. And I couldn't do anything about it because one of the side effects I had from my chemotherapy was that I had chemosores on my vocal cords, and so I would lose my voice. I wasn't allowed to go there because she had superbugs. She couldn't come home. I couldn't go there. And I couldn't even really talk. She ended up she got to 69 pounds. She looked like she was barely a survivor from the concentration camps. And I had to fight for her to be able to come home for the last days of her life. And I couldn't even touch her hand because I was still in my therapy. One of them was a year. And I still hadn't finished all my therapy. So my mom looked at me, and she would come in and out of her awareness. She looked at me and she's like, why are you not touching me? I'll never forget it. She was the one that was alone. She was alone in these facilities that did not take care of her. She felt so alone even when she came home because she couldn't be touched. She wanted to be touched. That's what she wanted. But one thing she said to me, and we found out 10 days before she died that she had bone marrow cancer. We didn't know. They thought that she was making it up. That her pain, she was making it up. And so right before she died, she said, Tam, your life is about to change. Little did I know how much. She must have known that there was something that I was meant to do. So when people are like, wow, you're really driven, and wow, and when I wake up every morning the house that I have has her room in it. The room that I film in is her room.
Mm.
So every single morning I hear her voice. And I vow that no one is going to have to feel alone like she felt. So, yes, I was real raw and all of it. And yeah, a little bit of everything going on. But the bottom line is that cancer affects us all differently. And each diagnosis affects us differently. So thank you for asking. I know it was a long answer, but
No, I think it was a very clear answer, and some of us need those answers. Some of us need to have a deeper understanding of what people actually go through and how
Right.
they feel. But sitting here talking to you, you were describing your mother, and wow, the energy I felt from you.
Uh-huh.
You are your mother. You are your mother. You are. And I'm sitting here, and you guys, I'm sitting here with Tamara, and the way she describes her mother is her to a T. And it is so beautiful at the drive she has, and those words that her mother spoke. Just knowing that she had a greater purpose, that she was going to do something so magnificent for other people, and what she does every day, whether she feels good or has a good day or bad day, and even no sleep. I tell people, I'm like, she never sleeps. But it is absolutely incredible. And all of this, she did so much, and so much went into this. And it is just an amazing thing. And I thank you for that. And I thank you from other people that aren't even able to hear this message today. And they will hear it one time or another. It's
Right.
going to go around the world. I can tell you it's going to happen. And
Right.
so just being here with you, I'm truly honored just to be with you, and I feel like I know your mother now. And so she was an incredible woman.
She was an incredible woman, and she graduated in 1960, so back in the day, kind of where you weren't quite yet able to be that professional woman that you want to be, and she had such a desire to be that professional woman. She ended up being that professional woman, and I always tease people that my mom wasn't necessarily the cookie mom. She was the cookie chairman mom, because we did Girl Scouts, and seriously, if anybody ended up with broken cookies in Lakeside, California back in the day, I'm sorry, I probably sat on it, because we used to use the cookie boxes, the cartons, or not the cartons, but the cases, and we'd make them into furniture, because that's about what it had to be, because there were so many in our living room, because she was like, we're gonna break last year's record, and we're gonna do this, and we're gonna do that, and oh my gosh, we would plan it out.
So with that being said, do you take a look at your life in those years, and then you look at the now, the right now, as all of the things that are happening, all of the things that have been accomplished because of your desire and your will to help other people?
Yeah, I have to say, people have asked me that, and it's not just my mom. I have to give a lot of credit to my family. I had a very philanthropic, two grandfathers that were very philanthropic, that really, and a step grandfather, so three grandfathers, if you will, that really believed in it. I have a brother that is like Mr. Philanthropic himself. He just really epitomized everything, and so I always felt like I was the late bloomer in the family.
Right.
Like, where did I miss the bus? Because I had been philanthropic in my younger years, but raising my kids and everything, I had 3 special needs children, and so I put a lot of energy into that, and So I kind of I felt like, well, I'm kind of like the no start, the non-starter of the group, and I have to be honest, I did not see myself starting a nonprofit. That was not what I was. That this came, and we're going to talk about this later because I'm working to bring on the nurse, one of the nurses and she's going to be coming on at some time during the day, and it's not scheduled. It's just going to be whenever she gets a break from her child. That's kind of like the one in charge at the house right now. And so, but when the case was made, it's basically what it was, on an ongoing basis. Every time I go in there with my chemo buddy, it was always like, okay, here they come, double trouble. And then it would be it, because I was the one that kept the schedule and kind of the bookkeeper, the organized one of the two of us. And they would be like, you know what, you need to look at this. You need to see what is happening out there, because what you guys have, others need. Wow. And it can save lives. It can lengthen lives. It can change the quality of lives. And I mean, like, almost like grab your face, not quite, but it felt like that sometimes, like, are you listening? This is so important.
I just had an aha moment. We have those and whenever I was younger, I was one of those, I never understood, and I thought, how can people work in nursing homes and nursing facilities and things like that? That would be so hard for me, right?
Right.
I thought it would be, and years later, I decided, I for some reason, I felt like this calling to go be a CNA, a PCNA, and so I did. And so what she's describing, in the times that I'm with these patients, and that I see the lack of, family or care or connection with others, and that fire in them slowly just burn out, it literally. And watching, and I've seen so many patients, a lot of my patients, and I every time I go there, I'm like, this is why I'm here. This is why I'm here, to bring some joy and to bring, because they needed me. They needed someone, and I just happened to be that person that was in that position. And so going there and being that person for them, I if it was reading the Bible, if it was watching the Andy Griffith show for 10 hours straight, most of the time I would work, 24, 48 hours shifts. And so just to watch those shows over and over and over, because a lot of them had dementia and Alzheimer's, and, so it was, to me, I loved it. I really did. I really learned to love it. And I can remember, hearing a family member say, okay, they don't understand. Mm-hmm. They don't understand, or, they're not going to remember. Over time, when they hear you come in and you talk to them and they say your name, that right there told me they know exactly. They know, It may not be, a day later, 2 weeks later, whatever, but it's like something happens. And so when you hear your name and they say, thank you, Kelly, or something like that, when they haven't said anyone's name in years, or something like that, that really hits you. It really does, because that you're building a bond, you're building a memory, you're building that love back, and they need that friendship. And so being here and being part of this and knowing that, exactly that, and having the chemo buddy, that is exactly the same thing.
Absolutely.
And so now it just kind of, makes sense to me now, and it gives me a more understanding of everything. So yeah, if you have that loved one at home, they love you. They may be going through trying times. They may be going through a difficult time that they can't explain to you. They don't understand themselves. But you can be there, you can give time, and you may not think they're listening or they hear you or understand you, but you never know. You just never know.
That's right.
So to be that buddy and just to love them and to give them a little piece and a smile. I have a video of a 96-year-old lady, and I have a video that I still have on my phone today that says I love you to her family. She never spoke. She didn't, very, very rarely spoke. And she would every once in a while speak to me. She had Alzheimer's. And so she didn't remember, too much. And so whenever she said, I love you, I was able to take that video and give back to her family. And so they have that memory forever. They have her. And so those are the moments, the precious moments that, if you can capture, we can capture them. We can freeze that frame. Let's do it. And that's building a friendship. That's loving. That's capturing those moments. And it's time to, I got onto myself on the way here. And I started getting teary-eyed because I had a gentleman sitting next to me, just like a big teddy bear. He was. And this, our plane was huge. And we were sitting there and we were having a discussion about our purpose and everything in life. And he started to cry. He started crying. He said, I didn't understand what I was here for today. I didn't know if I was going back to Seattle. I didn't understand. And he said, but I wanted to thank you. And it was just that conversation. He said, it amazes me how the conversation from Houston to Las Vegas, we built a friendship. And he then said, I know my purpose and why I'm going back to work and back to Seattle so that I can help and be a light for other people. So he said, I just want to thank you for that. And so we both cried. I ended up crying too. And, we made a connection. We made a friendship. And, he's like, let's do a cooking show next year. It's like,
there you go.
It's like, I don't know how to cook. He knows how to cook, but I can talk.
Well, there you go. In fact, we need to close this hour down, and we are going to go into the third hour. And so I want to say thank you for everybody that's listened and watched this one, and thank you for asking those questions, and thank you for allowing me to be a little raw, because that's a raw one for me. So I'm going to close this down, and we're going to join with you in the third hour. Just a moment.